My Time Podcast with Asher Chua.
Welcome to the podcast, Stephen.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
How are things on your end? Catch me up.
Things are good. Prior from our last conversation about a year ago, have read the book Boundaries. I really took into consideration of what you were saying, going through the workbook. That book is phenomenal. I recommend anyone to read that book. It's really
Awesome.
good. And then just honestly being on the prayer line has really helped me grow spiritually, mentally, just in all areas. I feel that there's a lot of wisdom there, and that really needs to be taken advantage of. And then
Nice.
professionally, I'm a healthcare administrator down here in the Virgin Islands. So,
Very cool. I
yep.
didn't know that about you. I feel like
Well,
it's almost like meeting for the first time and like semi in person virtually.
exactly. Yeah.
Nice. But
Yeah.
I appreciate your energy, and I commend you for completing the book. Not only that, but also like, were you able to complete the workbook?
Yeah.
That's
It
amazing.
was
I
awesome.
it's funny, sometimes I feel bad about suggesting stuff to people because
Hmm.
I listened through the audio book of Boundaries, but
Hmm.
I started reading back through it in order to complete it. But then just picking up too many things at a time, I was like, I got to circle back to it, but I didn't complete it. But one thing that I found more and more this year is that pulling from that information, either knowingly or unknowingly, it's like, yeah, I gotta I gotta establish my boundaries here, at least in my word, with what I say to people or how I let people speak to me, to just be clear on, this is what I want, this is what
Right.
I don't want.
Exactly. And I think that a problem that we have sometimes is not explaining those boundaries properly, and
Right.
allowing people to treat us how we want to be treated.
Mm,
So, because we have to teach people how we want to be treated, because they don't really know. So
gotcha.
voicing that is so important.
Mm. So I guess since you brought it up, maybe
Yeah.
I'll stick on this for a second. But
Oh yeah.
how is it that you've been able to like utilize the boundaries in your life, or like what's one tangible thing that you took away immediately from starting to read it, and like
Yeah.
at the end of the process, especially going through like the whole workbook where you got to detail out, okay,
Yeah.
these are my boundaries, this is
Right.
the people in my life that I take in this way or I don't take in this way.
Yeah. I think for me, the one thing was just seeing how much scripture of Jesus putting up boundaries and how much Proverbs was talking about putting up boundaries really hit me. Like,
Mm,
oh, this is actually a thing.
yeah.
Oh, this is actually in there.
Right.
And I just immediately started to apply it. I took one scripture at a time and just
Mm,
applied it steadily. Right now, I have boundaries with my parents. I have boundaries with my friends. I have boundaries with coworkers. And I'm very vocal and ensuring that, hey, if these boundaries are crossed,
yeah.
I'm gonna get a little frustrated. I may get angry a little bit because I've already laid the groundwork out. Asher, you're
Yeah.
kind of freezing a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So,
Just keep going.
and
Keep going.
oh, okay, cool. And yeah, I've just it's allowed me to find my voice a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hmm.
That's amazing, because I feel like maybe, can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. I guess I'm not sure if the picture freezes up or anything, but if the
Uh-huh.
audio keeps coming through, just focus on the audio, because
All right,
you're
cool.
still coming through loud and clear.
Awesome.
Like um so also, the fact that you mentioned with it being biblical, I think that
Yeah.
that was kind of like a game changer for me, because like I said, I remember reading or listening through the whole thing and just
Hmm.
being like, okay, I've got to go back a second or a third time and re-listen to like this beginning portion. Okay,
Hmm.
this next phase. And like seeing that it's from the Bible, given that our background is being like, how tell me a little bit about your background. I know you said you have a background in choir. Um you have you maybe have the lungs to sing. I was like, okay, if
Yeah,
you want to sing a few things, you could
yeah.
feel free to put it out
Uh,
there for the people.
so definitely. Okay, so my background is I was born and raised in the church. My mother is a preacher. She's been preaching for at least 15 years now.
Mm.
So I'm a PK by birth. um,
Same here.
I definitely. All right, cool, cool, cool. I have definitely been in all like everything within the church, and then singing was something that I found out at a very young age that I was really good at.
Hmm.
I didn't really explore that gift much. I would kind of batter a little bit back and forth with my best friend, considering since he was kind of into like classic rock and all that type of stuff. So we got into that stuff, and
You said you
that
guys would
real
battle?
yeah, yeah, like pretty much who could sing the best in like a
Mm.
depending on the song, like key changes, all that type of stuff. So that really pushed me and really allowed me to see the range of not only my voice but of his voice as well, and try to um, you definitely utilize harmonizations,
Hmm.
all that type of musical stuff, and then
Yeah.
that was probably at the age of 7 or 8, and then at the age of 10, I started taking piano lessons,
Right.
and then everything started to progress a little bit. Didn't really enjoy my teacher much, just to be
Mm.
honest. He was a little bit too strict.
Yeah.
And then my dad just kind of took up um, teaching me because he plays guitar. He's dabbled a little bit in the piano. So he taught me, all the chord progressions in all 12 keys, a variety of jazz, variety of blues, variety of gospel. And then on top of that, he taught me composing. So
Wow.
I, I've learned the ability to compose, to write, to sing, inflection, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that has really allowed me to be a well-rounded person that I can use this gift that God has given me properly
Hmm.
for his kingdom in the near future.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I could play something for you if you'd like, which
Sure.
would be yeah, definitely. All right, so I'm on my computer. I'm on my computer right now. So
Got. I
um,
mean, is the piano over there back behind you?
exactly, yeah,
Okay. I
exactly,
mean, you
yeah.
can leave your computer there. I'm sure the sound will carry through.
Oh, okay, okay, got you. All right. All right, cool, cool, cool. So, yeah. All right. Yeah, that's probably gonna be cool.
It's like
It's like
a podcast first, a live performance.
cool, 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 cool. All right. Let's see. All right, so that was just a little bit.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So you've been composing and writing your own music for some time?
Yep, I've at least have 18, maybe more songs on my phone, and I've put that out on my YouTube. I put an entire album out on my YouTube channel.
Nice. There you go.
So,
Am I still coming through?
yep, yep. So I have
Wait,
35
your
songs.
volume went real low all of a sudden.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Or am I still low?
You're still low. I don't know what changed.
All right, that's okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. All right. But I have about 35 songs written down on my phone.
Hmm.
Yep, 35. Some finished, some unfinished. Still kind of working through the kinks.
Yeah,
Still waiting for God to give me the inspiration. So,
gotcha.
yeah, yep.
I guess what's one of the things that inspires you to write your songs, or do you do them like through piano mostly?
Um, Honestly, a thought will just come to me
Hmm.
if I'm just either reading something or just thinking about something. And then the words will just come out, and just I'm like, oh, that's actually really cool. Let me explore this idea, and then kind of rehash it a bit, and then move from it. Because actually, I can read you something I was writing a couple, maybe, yeah, like about a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah, about a month ago. Keep me near the cross, O Lord, as I wait before you. I'll be there as the sun rises up. I'll just be there as you the as I wait, I hear, I listen, I seek. So, and that's kind of unfinished though. So,
Okay.
yeah, but
Gotcha.
mainly most of my things either come from scripture or my experience
Hmm.
or just my pain, honestly, because that's where most of the good music comes from.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's one of those things is like, do we say unfortunately or fortunately? Because it's like through someone else's pain, you get like this beautiful melody. I think the one song that maybe that comes to mind is like Adele's um, Someone Like You, where
exactly.
it's like blew up on the charts. And it's like, this lady's talking about someone that broke up with her and did her wrong. And everybody's just like, oh man, I can identify with that.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, wow. That is, yeah. I never thought about it like that. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
I guess what's interesting to pick up again on boundaries, like you were talking about, like
Yeah.
one thing that stood out to me was I don't know if you saw it in the same way, seeing boundaries brought up, and especially
Hmm.
when they talked about the misconceptions of boundary, especially if you're thinking about from like I guess you'd say a quote unquote Christian perspective.
Yeah.
Many of the things that are listed in there I could identify with, as it was talking about, oh, like as a Christian, I guess you're taught to love people and just to always be all things to all people, but
Exactly. Yeah.
it's almost like a misteaching where like you want to do all these things for people, but if you never establish the boundaries for
For
yourself,
yourself. Yeah.
then you can never let people know where they where they have to start and stop, because a lot of people I think can identify with this, where you hear a lot of people either move away from the church or just kind of put faith to the side in a way. But I mean,
Mhm.
everybody needs faith in a way to like say, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go do something expecting a result on the other side of it. Like you might not want to verbalize it in like a religious way because of all the baggage that comes with it, especially with is my background still okay?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Just keep talking.
I'm hearing a saw and like a Tweety bird is in the back. I'm like, oh man, I hope they're not coming through too loud.
No, you're good.
Got you. But yeah, what was your experience kind of reading that where it's like these are some of the misconceptions that
I
or
was like,
excuses people
yeah,
might use from a
uh-huh,
Christian background to say, oh, if I establish boundaries, like I'm
mhm,
being a bad person, I'm being selfish, I'm not being
yeah,
nice, I'm not being kind. And it's like, when did that concept become this overwhelming thing
exactly.
of just like, oh, the poor, weak Christian just walking
Yeah,
around like, oh, hey guys.
right, exactly. Um, I think it honestly shocked me, and I had to reread that chapter a couple of times. I was like, okay, is this for real? And honestly, I was like, Lord, I'm sorry because I did not know. I did not know. I repent for I repent for not knowing this, and help me to instead to get rid of this thought pattern that has been so within our minds as Christians that it's
Yeah,
okay just to let people run over you, and
yeah,
just not be okay, and just have to be, as you said, as the scripture says, be all things to all men. And you're just like, I don't have anything left. God help me,
right,
fill me. And God's just gonna be like, no, just like, no, point up,
right.
like, no, set order, set structure, no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's like I feel like maybe order and structure kind of gets a bad rap at times where it's like you see people that might be uh maybe viewed as like anal, or people that are like, people have different words for them, OCD, or they're
yeah,
just so like everything's got to be like this. It's like
yeah,
maybe your life doesn't need to be to that extent, but
right,
you can tell a big difference when you yourself personally have like some sense of like, okay, this is what works and this is what doesn't work. But like
exactly,
when you allow anything to happen to you, or you just allow anyone to kind of just say, okay, hey, let's go here, hey, let's do this, hey. And
yeah,
after a while
no,
you're like, okay, when are we gonna do what I want to do? Like,
right, exactly.
what's going on here?
Right. Exactly. Because I think then that kind of ties into relationships, or just like marriage, or just boyfriend or girlfriend, even though that's not really in the word. But yeah, yeah, boundaries is so important, even in dating. That's
Mhm.
something I didn't even understand myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that book has changed my life, and I think I need to revisit it now because it's been probably a couple of months probably since I kind of dug through that,
Yeah,
because I'm a reader. So
yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome. I
yeah.
feel like I found out about it through Breathe University. I want to
hmm
say, maybe is that how we initially met, or through the men's prayer line?
I think we met through actually the men's prayer line, and
Okay,
then and then
gotcha.
you and then you started talking to me about Breathe University and ET, and you're like, yeah, this is really good. Do this, like, bro, hop on this now. Like, you don't want to miss this. You were so hype about it. I was like, all right, let me
Yeah.
try this.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you're able to gain something from it, because
Yeah,
sometimes I'm like, when I guess sometimes it's like when you're on a high, you feel like, oh, I got to tell the world about this. But then other times it's
definitely.
like after a while, like we're at the halfway mark now of the year,
Yeah,
and like at some point the high kind of wears off, and like you've got to rely on the habits that you kind of built, and
exactly.
that like within that group, it's like there's so much going on and there's so many good things. But something that I found very quickly, it's like,
Mhm.
although I could fit in on the prayer line, I could fit in BU, I could fit in like in all these other groups, like I had to
Yeah,
find one thing that worked for me and kind of
stick
limit
to it.
the interactions, like we were
Yeah,
saying, again, boundaries, to where I'm like, hey, I can't be on the phone 5 days of the week, or I can't be online every single day of the week. Like, on Facebook, commenting
Right.
on Instagram, liking everybody's stuff. It's like maybe you can get on
Exactly.
for like an hour or less and do what you need to do and then hop
Yeah.
off because like and even starting this podcast and keeping it going this year,
Yeah.
um the big thing has just been be consistent, whether it's like record one day out of the week on
Hmm.
Saturday like we're doing now, or
Yep.
just put out one episode a week and keep that being the main thing. And as much as I might get like the bug to say, oh, I want to do more, I want to do all this, it's like,
Yeah.
no, I almost have
Slow
to,
down.
I have to keep that personal boundary on myself to be like, no, this is the agreement. We're doing one thing with this activity. At any
Yeah.
point, like the main thing above the activity is like daily rest. So it's like as I compromise on my rest or as I find things that are like at any point when rest isn't had,
Hmm.
then I have to kind of answer for it or I have to pay because my body will tell me like, oh, you thought you were gonna get away with 2 hours, 3 hours. You're not gonna give me
Exactly.
6 or 8.
No.
Like, no, 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 no. We're not doing that.
Your butt, yeah. Like your butt is going down. Like stay down.
Yes. Are you down for the count? He's down for the count.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Awesome.
Wow.
So
Wow.
you're located in the Virgin Islands?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Remind me where's that at?
Right next to Puerto Rico. I think you've been to Puerto
Okay.
Rico.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I swear I was there last year briefly for about maybe 2 months, a month and a half.
Hmm. Okay. And I think you were doing construction, right? If I remember
Well,
correctly.
I did construction before, like last year went down as a FEMA contractor and we were
Hmm.
basically doing site inspections, looking down, walking down sites, looking over buildings that were damaged by Hurricane Maria and
Hmm.
basically working with people to kind of give them, uh, just help them document what got damaged and what can be repaired essentially.
Cool. How did that go?
It went, it was going well. I guess starting out, like initially it's like there's always like the learning curve, so you got to learn
Yeah.
from your supervisors and whatnot. And as
Yeah.
soon as it looked like we were just getting on our own project, our team was kind of being spread out throughout the island. COVID hit, and then it's like everybody's got to go home right about that second week of March, and then it
Oh
was
wow.
work remotely until further notice,
Uh-huh.
and then everything just kind of got shut down for a minute for
Right.
most of us, and it was just like, well, we do something else for a minute and then wait for it to either come back or find something else to do.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. So what state are you in again?
I'm
Think you're
I'm in Georgia. That's where I
okay.
live, but I
Okay.
drove out this weekend to visit family in Arkansas.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
So
Man, I
I'm
really
sitting
man,
in
I really
Arkansas.
need wow. That's good. Wow. Okay. Wow. Huh. Man, I really need to get to Georgia to really connect with you guys, man. Like,
Yeah.
'cause like everybody's pretty much in Georgia, right?
Um,
A
not
good majority.
everybody. Like I'm sure a good number of people. Like one person that comes to mind, or a few people. Like if you you know Theo?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Theo,
he's in
Ryan,
Georgia. Um, Ryan's there. I think Jeremy's there.
Shannon, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah. He just well, a couple. I guess the names that come up, I think, are in Georgia. Like I don't think obviously BK. I don't believe he's in Georgia, but
Nah, he's in
yes,
Texas.
it's. I was gonna say that I found out that they're doing another retreat this November. So if you
Yeah.
can get to that, that'll be in Tennessee,
Yeah,
and
definitely. Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that's on my list that I definitely want to be able to attend. So I've
Right.
got to put the funds aside or just reach back out to Ryan and be like, okay, hey, when is this due and when
Right.
how can I do the payment for it?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So definitely, yeah, that's definitely something I'm looking forward to because I think that would be during my birthday weekend. So
Oh,
or my
nice.
birthday week. So yeah.
Okay. Remind
Yeah.
me, and then I'll make sure to well, I guess I don't know if I was gonna say maybe it won't be a surprise since I'm saying, hey, remind me of your birthday week, but at least we'll be able to celebrate you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Hey,
Have you been
go
to
ahead.
one of the retreats before?
Yeah, I've been to two. Like the first
Awesome.
time, the very first one they did in
Yeah.
2017, I was kind of bummed out that I missed it,
Mm,
but then I was lucky to go in 2018 and 2019. They did one in the summertime because they're trying to see if more people would be able to come at a different time of the year with
uh-huh.
November being around like the holidays.
Right.
But I think the thing that was settled on was that November is probably a good time to get more people out. And it's amazing because you're you're being on like a conference call throughout the week, you're
Yeah.
familiar with different people's voice. And unless you decide to look them up online or even check out like the group chat or something like that,
Yeah.
you might not be aware of what someone looks like. Or even if you see their picture,
Yeah.
like a picture only tells you so much, even if they say a picture tells 1,000 words, but like seeing
Exactly.
someone live in the flesh is like, oh my God, it's you.
Hey, yeah.
You guys just
Right.
carry on because it's like you've been talking regularly every week. And then when
Right.
you see each other in person, it's like, oh man, okay, let's go hang out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Wow.
Yeah. I'm curious, what was 2021 like for you? What was your experience like and what's something you not 2021. What was 2020 like for you and what's
Okay.
something you gained from 2020?
2020 was definitely a year of reflection for me and a definite year of trying to see, all right, what do I want? Where am I going?
Hmm.
Because I just finished college
Mm,
earlier that year,
yeah.
and I immediately went into grad school.
Mm,
So working through that, I think was a little bit of a challenge and a little bit of an adjustment for me because it would be
yeah.
all online. Even though I'm accustomed to the online thing, I'm not going to
Yeah.
be there physically. So I think that was kind of my biggest missing.
Hmm.
Crap, I'm not going to see people anymore. Ah! And then 2020 was kind of me. All right, God, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? Um, do I need to chuck myself into therapy? Do I need to be more vocal on the prayer line? Do I need to just figure things out? Do I need to spend more time in prayer? Do I need to spend more time reading just different books?
Mm,
Because I realized that I dealt with depression, I dealt with anxiety, I dealt with all that all of
hmm.
that sphere within the mental illness, quote unquote,
Yeah.
category. Um, and I had to really work through that. And, this year I said, all right, I might actually take the step and go to therapy and not say I'm going to just do it and then never
Yeah.
go.
That's awesome.
So it was a lot of reflection. It was a lot of journaling. It was a lot of honestly crying,
Yeah.
trying to ask God, all right, I'm stuck in this environment, I'm stuck in this place. How am I going to get to my next?
Yeah.
Um, because I realized that, oh, I'm aware, I'm fully aware now of my family structure. I'm fully aware of what we deal with on the
Yeah.
on the mental illness plane. I'm like, all right, cool. That's a
Yeah.
lot to take in. It's a
Yeah.
lot hitting me on every side. But let me be strong, let me be diligent, let me be focused, let me not let anything break me,
Hmm.
and smile in the face of everything that is going on around me.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing I've always done my entire life is whenever something comes up, I'm like, all right, gotta muster the strength, gotta find the endurance, just power through this baby, just power through
Yeah.
this thing, and I'll get it done.
Yeah.
Because Asher, I don't think I've ever shared my testimony with you, but I'll just share it.
Go ahead. Yeah.
for the people and for you as well. So I was a premature baby,
Mm,
6 months, and I have had numerous amounts of surgeries throughout my life.
mm,
My earliest childhood one was probably one or two with a tracheotomy. Um, probably got the numbers wrong, but
mm,
then I had to have a myofascial release when I was 7 and 8 for my right foot,
mm,
because I was pretty much walking on the balls of my feet, and my foot wasn't all the way. So the doctors went in. All of this was free thanks to the Shriners for Children Hospital.
mm,
So like my parents didn't have to pay anything, which was such a blessing. Um, but yeah, I got that reconstruction, and then everything went fine from there. And I'm so glad I got it done early and not
mm,
like when I was like now, because that would really hurt. Because going through all that therapy, it didn't really affect me much. All right, I have to do what I have to do. And I think that really taught me adversity, endurance, strength, grit,
mm.
um, and just to never give up.
Yeah.
Because I did see thousands of kids with reconstructions, with missing hands, with deformed heads. You
Mm,
name it. You name it. I've seen it.
mm,
And honestly, that was a place. It was new for me. I had never really experienced something like that, and understanding that kids just like me go through the exact same thing,
mm,
that they're scared, that they don't know if they're actually going to make it in life, that they don't know if they can actually do everything that every other child, quote unquote, does. And I
yeah.
think the one thing, at least for me, is that my mom always told me that I never saw you any different.
Mm,
Um, and I think that really gave me some strength. And I know that my dad was always very supportive, very caring, very loving towards me, because
mm,
he practically raised me pretty much. My mom did kind of help out a lot, but she was kind of on the phase of working, so
yeah.
I would spend a lot of time with my dad. But yeah, that's kind of just it. And then kind of leading up towards probably 17 or 18, that's when I really kind of met God. I was
Mm,
like, oh, so you are actually who you say you are.
yeah.
uh,
What was
because
that like?
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask what was that like when you say you met God for the first time?
Um, oh, it's part of this testimony. So, I went to a youth camp in St. Kitts in Nevis for
Mm,
a week, and a lot happened. There was different kids from different islands. So like, all right, cool.
mm,
Island vibes. Like, all right, chopping it up, cool,
yeah.
lit, awesome. Like just seeing musicians, seeing singers, seeing people who are so in love with God. I'm like, because I'm still kind of skeptical. I'm like, all right, God, I've heard you in the church, but what are you
Mm,
actually like to me, and how does this thing actually work? So it was, I think, the Saturday or the Sunday we had went over to Nevis for an open air service, and my best friend at the time, who's still my best friend now, um, we just kind of met, and we just were like, all right, cool. We kind of see things in a perspective that's like, all right, cool. We're going in the same direction. All right, cool. And he was kind of the leader of our group at the time, and he was asking anybody around in our group, all right, is anybody going to give a testimony for this thing that we have to do in a couple of days? And I was like, just me being me, I'm always the first one to volunteer, I'm always the first one to serve in anything that I do. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'll do it. And then a couple other people kind of chimed in as well after I raised my hand. I'm like, all right, cool. If I didn't raise my hand, would anybody have? You know, and then we went. Um, then we it was the night, And it was pretty much like an open air service. There was a basketball court off to the side, so like before everything, we were playing basketball for like probably an hour, hour and a half with just the guys from the islands, and then it came time to give that testimony. My friends called me up there, and I was like, I have nothing prepared. I have nothing prepared. I didn't write anything down. Didn't write anything down. Um, and I was like, as I got up to the podium, I was like, God, if you're real, speak through me. And in that moment, and in that moment, I felt peace. I felt calmness. I felt still. I felt so zoned in than I've ever felt before. That when I got up to that microphone, I started to sing. And I know that that wasn't me. I know that that was God. I started to sing that my God is awesome. And the musicians were behind me, so they found the key. They kind of carried the tune a little bit, and I gave the exact testimony that I just gave to you before. Um, just just that, and I can send you the video. I have it. So um, that was kind of the experience. Everybody was so astonished that wow, that is so interesting because everyone kind of stood up and gave me
Yeah.
a round of applause. Um, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm good. People are hugging me, and I'm just like, all right, cool. Is this what I'm supposed to understand?
Yeah.
Um, and then we got, and then it was towards the end of the service. We got inside of a prayer circle, and I will never forget this, Asher, because this is exactly where I met God. Is that in this moment when I closed my eyes, I saw myself falling, like from the sky, falling. And I was looking up, but then I immediately hit the ground. I had no idea that I was inside of hell, but it was so hot. It was so hot. I heard all of the screaming voices. I saw skeletons. I had no idea where I was. I was so scared. I was so frightened. Everything was so hot, so humid. The ground was so dark. It was so fiery. It didn't make sense because in my logical mind, I was like, "Am I dreaming right now? Am I? If I actually open my eyes, will I
Hmm.
actually be in this place?" So I kept my eyes closed. I was like, all right, let me just be like, all right, let me just try to get rid of this, get rid of this. But every time I opened my eyes in the spirit, I was like, all right, I'm still here. What the heck? I'm still here. All right, this doesn't make any sense. And um, whoo, Jesus, okay, I'm gonna try not to cry. Woo, but
Yeah.
this is just um. Then I started to hear this voice that was very dark, very gritty, very vile. I had no idea that it was the devil, but it 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 was him. Um, I saw what he looked like. I saw it's nothing like the cartoons describe. It's nothing, he's not a pitchfork and red and all that. No. at least the way that I saw him, he was wearing all black. Um, he was wearing all black. His minions were kind of around as I was kind of trying to figure out what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he has like super speed or like that type of ability, but he has the ability to kind of jump and like just be right next to you. And like came in my he came up to my left ear and he said, "I finally have you where I've always wanted you. You were going to die today."
Whoa.
And in that moment, I was like, my heart actually was like starting to flutter. And he said, "I know that you are fearful of me because I've been trying to kill you since your mother's womb. You shouldn't have been born." So then he just starts having a heyday with me. So he starts throwing me around. He starts beating me up physically. And I'm still hearing his voice all throughout my head because I didn't
Mm.
understand that at the time that this is the torment that he can do to a person's mind to make you go
Mm.
mentally insane.
Yeah.
So I'm still hearing this voice, and he still has the ability to physically bash me against walls because pretty much it's like a brick. At least from what I've seen, it's kind of like a box, like a brick, but
Mm-hmm.
everything is so sharp, it's so vital. You feel it,
Yeah.
and I was actually feeling this natural. I didn't even understand. Even though I was holding on to people's hands, I would be, I would physically be feeling that things would be ripping and starting to actually come apart.
Mm.
And I was like, all right, guy, okay, let me just try to get out of here. But there's no way. There's no way out.
Yeah.
There's no way out. So I'm stuck with him alone. I'm just like, okay. And all right. I have no way to get out. There's no water. There's nothing. So he's still beating me up left, right, and center. So I'm pretty much bloody all the way. Like as bloodied as I can, as bloody as a cartoon character can be, or as bloody
Yeah.
as an anime character can be, because that's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah.
Um, that's how I felt, and that's how I looked.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have any sight because my eyes were black and blue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, he had physically blasted my kneecap. Um, so I'm busily trying to claw and gnaw my leg because that's the only thing I can actually do because my hands aren't really working. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm like, all right, I can't really see, but I see something. It looks like an
Mm.
opening. So I'm crawling, I'm gnawing. Like he kind of goes away to talk to his minions for a second, just about what they're gonna
Yeah.
do. Like I'm crawling, I'm gnawing, and I kind of find this little spot that's kind of open. And I'm just like, all right, let me try grab some type of strength. All right, I bust it open,
Mm-hmm.
and in there is a sword. Um, um, okay, let me just. All right, I'm fighting for dear life. I don't know if I'm gonna die. Let me grab this thing. All right, I grab it, and immediately, power comes to me. My entire body just reacclimates itself. Um, all the cuts are gone, all the bruises are gone, everything is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And, then he kind of comes up to me again. He's like, "So you actually want to die? So you actually want to duel to the death now?" But at the time, there's still that torment. My mouth is shut. I can't really talk because it's just, whoop, Jesus. So somehow, so somehow, we end up fighting. We end up fighting. And somehow I know every like I know how to parry, I know how to pivot, I know how to do all that type of stuff. No
Mm-hmm.
idea how, but Um, I'm just like, all right, God, this is like real type anime type stuff going on right now. You know, um, then he kind of, I guess I miss or something, and then he knocks out my knees. He puts his sword to my throat, and in the national, like I felt my knees give out a little. In the
Mm,
natural, I felt the sword actually on my throat,
mm,
and he actually said, I'm actually going to kill you now, and you're actually going to feel this. So I'm pretty much kneeling in front of him.
mm,
I don't have any strength. My arms don't work now. My legs are gone. Like I have nothing. And as he's starting to rip my yeah, actually where this scar is, he's
mm,
starting to actually rip this. I'm actually starting to feel this in the natural. I'm like I don't really have any air in the natural because
mm.
I'm starting to actually lose a little bit of consciousness.
Yeah.
Uh, and as he was about to, actually like slit it all the way, I see this light come down, and it was just so bright. It was so bright.
Mm,
That, it blinded me. It blinded him.
mm.
And it was like kind of it was like a rushing wind. That's the only way I can describe it. And it was
Yeah.
like bang, it came like it covered me. It covered me. It protected me. It shielded me. And I didn't know that this was an angel at the time, but it was the angel of the Lord that came to save me. Um, so it was like time stopped when he hit the ground when he covered me. It
Mm,
was like everything was like in slow motion. And he just took one of his wings and you know bang, the enemy went flying. Like, all right, cool. And the angel said to me, "Do you want to get out of here?" I'm like, "Yeah," with a little bit with the I can't really talk. So he grabbed me up, and now I'm inside of heaven.
mm,
Um, and I'm like, all right, this looks so weird. Like it's
mm.
so white, it's so crisp, it's so peaceful,
Yeah.
just as everything as the Bible describes. Because then he starts taking me around. He doesn't even allow me to go through judgment. That's the thing. He doesn't allow me to go through judgment. Because maybe at that time, my heart is so pure. In that moment, I was like, all right, God, I just want you. I just want to be free. I want to be out of here. So I didn't even go through judgment, which is odd because
Yeah.
everyone go through judgment. So I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I skipped that part. I didn't even know this because I didn't understand. The only thing I knew of God was sermons and just do what's right and do this. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, that's gonna help. Um, but as he's starting to take me around through heaven,
Mm,
and I asked what his I asked what his name was, and he says his name was Gabriel.
mm.
Okay, was that supposed to mean? Like, in my logical mind, I'm like, all right, is that supposed to mean something to me? Like, okay, all right, you're Gabriel, okay, you know. So I see, everything as Revelation describes. I see the choirs. I see, the throne as John describes. I see it. Then he takes me into he just takes me into the holies of holies
Mm,
for some odd reason, and then he just leaves. And then within that space, I transform from 17 to maybe 26 or 27 or 25 to 27.
Mhm.
that I'm like super duper buff. I'm like muscled out, like I'm like, all right. So what am I now? Like I'm like a I'm am I kind of like a demigod? Like, because
Mhm.
my background is kind of reading mythology and reading Norse history and anime and all this type of stuff. So I'm like, all right, have I become a god myself now? You know, and the only thing I can do in God's presence is bow. I can't even speak. Because everything that Revelation describes, I think it's Revelation maybe 14 or 15, or maybe, I forget where it is, but where the
Mhm.
lions are around his throne that have eyes that are walking around carousing and just making sure that his holiness is protected. Um, it it's odd because I still don't really have a logical understanding of what's going on
Yeah.
because I'm seeing things from a logical perspective. Like, this does not make sense
Right.
to me. So it, so as God's face is so white, I can't even look on it. Like, it's so clear, it's so piercing, it's so convicting to me that it just makes me pure, as pure can be. That all of my sin that I have done probably up to that point is gone. That all my mistakes are gone. That I had been made new in that sense, in that moment. And as God is starting to get off of his throne, I feel this weight start to come off of me. And I can actually start to get up and move. And in that moment, as he's starting to walk down the steps, he transforms into physical human form. And it just kind of blows my mind because I'm like, all right, why am I here? And the funny thing is, he showed himself to be black. That's odd. I was like, I thought you were white. I thought you were white. I'm sorry. I thought you were white. I'm sorry. I thought you were white. I'm sorry. I did not know, Jesus. I did not know. I did not know, bro. Um, I just be like, I did not know. I'm sorry for that. He was like, it's all
Mhm.
right. It's all right. No need. No
Mhm.
need. Like, he's tall. Like, he's maybe 7 foot, maybe if that. He's muscular. He's strong. He's not weak as the as these religions say that he is. He's not a hippie.
Yeah.
He's not. Like, he's not. I think that's the funny thing because I had the image of white Jesus in my mind this entire time. I'm like, wait a second, you're like, wait, what?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, and oh man, I mean, oh man, even that blew my mind. I was like, so you're black? So you're black? I'm still trying to get over that as I was talking with him. Like, you're black? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that don't make sense, buddy. Show me this. Like, yes, everyone in the Bible is black, buddy. Like let's just get that clear. Let's just get that straight. um, you know, and he was like, "You need to go someplace." I'm like, "All right, where do we need to go?" Hold on to me. I'm like, "All right." So I take his hand, and we instantly, like, instant transport to, like, Golgotha, where
Mhm.
he died. We kind of zoom in, have that aerial view, and I'm like, why are you showing me this? And he just simply said to me, because you don't know who I am. Who I am to you has not become real yet. But in this moment of chill, I will never forget that. I will never forget that. Because in that moment, I was able to see the crown of thorns on his head. I was able to see his hands being pierced. I was able to see his feet, him fully not be recognizable to his mother, not fully be recognized because the Romans had already left. And I'm just like, okay, like, oh, you have done so much at this one moment that I don't understand. I don't get it. Because my logical mind can't understand you. Because I keep seeing things from a logical perspective. This doesn't make sense. I don't understand why you endured this. Make it make sense.
Yeah.
You know, and simply he was like, I did this because I love you. I still, even to this day, I don't understand why. Because that's the mystery of who he is. Like, yeah, it's in the word. Yeah, it's there. Like, you have loved me so much to die for me, even though you did not know who I was. And I'm like, all right, this still doesn't really make sense. He was like, all right, let me make it even clearer to you. He rips open his side. And he was like, touch that. Okay. All right. So as I go into his side, just like the scripture says, as Doubting Thomas goes into his side, I go in, and as I come out, within my hand there is blood and water. Because that's also something that scripture says. I forget where it is right now, but that's also something that scripture says. It's like, okay, you, like, like, he was like, no, understand that, understand that this is how brutally bruised I was beaten. Understand this. You know, when he sewed back up his side, and I'm just like, all right. This still doesn't make sense. I'm like, you were real Doubting Thomas. Okay. So he takes out the piercing within his hand. He said, stick it here. I'm like, all right. So the book of Acts has come true. Okay. All right. Okay, this is cool. This is interesting. All right. He's like, do you understand yet? That I died for you enough so that you wouldn't have to endure anything that I went through? Do you understand that enough? And I was like, maybe I don't. Maybe I've been trying to understand what you're like, but never actually having a real relationship with you. And he was like, exactly. You know, and then we kind of went out of that aerial view into his death, and then he took me to the resurrection. I'm just like, all right, what's the point here, buddy? Like, what's the point here? Like, what's the point? Like, all right, okay, you died. Okay, you rose again. All right, you came out of the tomb. All right, cool. Okay, you went to Mary. Mary found you. All right, cool. Now what? He's like, you still don't get it. You still don't get it, son. You still don't get it. I'm like, the point is that you've never had a salvation story. You've only read it. But now that you've experienced it, you can fully understand it. You know, and at that moment, I was like, My God. I have God in the flesh right here talking to me. And I didn't understand. I missed the entirety of what the gospel is about.
Mm.
I missed the entirety of what the gospel is about. And I thought to myself, I wonder what it would be like to talk to Noah. I wonder what it would be like to talk to Abraham. Well, and I asked him, I just simply asked him, can I stay here with you? And he was like, he laughed. He was like, no. No, we can't. No, we can't stay here. I was like, but Dad. He was like, son, I know you love me and everything. I know that your heart is so pure towards me that you don't fully understand what I'm going to do with you and for you and through you.
Mm.
But I need you back on earth. And I'm like, okay. But remember that I'm always going to be with you.
Mm.
Remember that I'm on the inside of you, that I'm closer than the breath that you take, that I am in your thoughts, that I am in your mind, that I am in the word that you so seek and so desire, that you will desire sooner than later. Okay, okay. And he was like, I'm gonna have to put you back now. Okay. And then immediately, as he put my soul back into my body, my eyes opened and the entire prayer circle said amen. I still can't, I still can't, I still can't get over the fact that God would take me to hell to show me what it's like, then to take me to heaven, show me what's that like, what that is like. Give me a
Yeah.
personal encounter with Jesus and put me back in my body, all in the matter of probably 5 minutes.
Mm.
Oh, 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 Jesus.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That's, oh,
ooh,
wow,
Jesus. Oh,
man,
man.
that's a testimony. Like, man, I
Yeah,
appreciate you sharing that. It's like
yeah.
there's there's so much to like there's so much to digest in that, but I
Yeah.
feel that like even what were what were the moments like coming out of that, like say being in the prayer circle and then like a week out, a month out,
Um,
a year out, like once like that experience kind of the time and distance kind of kept
Faded,
building
yeah.
between. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so like a week after I told my mom, she was stunned, she was amazed, she was blown away.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't tell my dad because he's not really, into that stuff. He's not really that into um, God and all that type of stuff. He does read a little bit here and there, but he wasn't too heavy into all that spiritual stuff. Um, then I kind of just finished out the rest of the year, honestly. I think it wasn't until that was 2014, so it wasn't until 2016 or towards the end of 2016, beginning of 2017, that God really got my attention again. Um, and I kind of, I mean, this was even before I kind of met you guys and got connected with you guys, but God kind of put me together with some Christians who were stronger, more mature, kind of would teach me a little bit. But I did learn a lot from them. Most of them are still good associates of mine today. But it wasn't until 2017 that he fully grabbed my attention. Like, no, son, I have actually called you because things things within my life were starting to, because at that point I was in college, and things at that time were starting to get a little more heavy. Um, and I didn't understand, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't really have anybody to talk to. I didn't go to our school therapist and be like, "Hey, I'm dealing with this spiritual stuff." They're gonna be like, "All right, boy, you crazy? Go." Like, you know, um,
Yeah.
and honestly, that's when I started to read the Word. That's when I started to understand. Okay, God, you are actually real. You've made yourself real to me. All right, now let's put in the application. Now let's put in the practice. Um, God started to teach me just alone with nobody around me. Yeah, was I connected to certain people? But like, yeah, I would be up hours, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, reading, studying, fasting, praying,
Mm.
um, and just being that diligent in that time space. And that has really, because then he started to teach me about spiritual warfare. He started to teach me about demons. He started to teach me about deliverance. He started to teach me about preaching, all of this type of stuff that's kind of very aware now in the sense that, okay, yeah, this is actually true in the word and all this type of stuff. But he actually also taught me how to counsel people. He actually taught me also how to lead a ministry because I was leading a ministry at that time while I was in school. So he taught me how to lead
Yeah.
that. And I'm just like, okay, you are actually who you say you are. All right, cool. I'm gonna follow you fully hearted. Finally, I'm gonna fully commit to this. Because that's when I fully got myself into the church that was actually planted, that was actually biblically sound. But I'm still there today. Um, but you know, I think sometimes as Christians, we have to go through things ourselves with nobody around us, so that we can get strong enough, so that when people are weaker than us, help them aside and carry
Yeah.
them through. Um, because that's the thing I've realized. I've had 2 failed relationships in college that weren't God's will. Um,
Mm.
and I was trying to figure out that space as well, trying to lead, trying to do everything else, be in school, and those things really didn't add up, but I stayed with them. And, you know,
Mm.
I think I kind of learned through trial and error sometimes. And just, I was still trying to learn the voice of God and hear Him in 2017 and 2018.
Mm.
Um, I'm fully aware of what his voice sounds like now. There's no doubt that I, don't hear from him or, don't have spiritual attacks or any of that type of stuff. But, and then I kind of got with you guys in 2019. So then that kind of added the component of brotherhood, which is something I was looking for a very long time. So I think
Yeah.
everything has kind of come full circle that sometimes the spaces and places that God has you in is for your
Mm.
good.
Yeah.
And I think that from my story and my walk so far of 7 years, but really 4 technically, that you have to endure maybe a lot on your own. Um, Maybe God isolates you for a couple of seasons. Maybe He has you in the wilderness for a couple of seasons. Maybe the discouragement comes. Maybe the heavy attacks come. Maybe your pastor isn't fully reaching out to you like you want or mentoring you in the way that you want. You got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with praying for yourself. You got to be okay with praying for others, and not only hoping for the best for them, but also ensuring that whatever they need, they're taken care of. Because that's the servanthood of Jesus. And everything that you said in boundaries that we talked about
Yeah.
before earlier in the podcast, that is
Yeah.
something so vital that I did not understand. I
Mm.
did not understand that with people. I did not understand that at all.
Yeah.
Um, And that's something I'm still putting into practice today with people. I'm like, no, I cannot do that. No, please do not cross that boundary. No.
You're
um,
utilizing your no.
exactly, exactly. And I think the one thing that I've taken away just from you is that being calm, cool, and collected is always a posture that we have to have. Always asking questions is something that we have to have. Being
Yeah.
intellectual is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay that you're a little bit more advanced than other people, that you're aware of other things, that you're self-aware, that you're fully understanding of who you are, what you are, and how you're going about things, and being okay with people being a little bit
Yeah.
behind you, and not being prideful and arrogant and saying, "Oh yeah, you don't know anything." Like, all right, let me get away from you. No,
Right.
because Jesus walked with the Pharisees sometimes. He talked with the Pharisees. He
Yeah.
was like, "Let me rebuke your backside. Like, let me correct you. Let me teach you. Let me show you." I think that's why it's so
Right.
important now that we have the entirety of the fivefold ministry around us. Because as BK was saying, I think a couple weeks ago on our line, that it's important that we have every
Yeah.
tier: the mentor, the coach, the friend, the associate, the assignment, um, the friends, the community. I think that's the one thing. Community is so important.
Yeah.
That is something I struggle with. To be honest, that is something I struggle with.
This is the It's My Time podcast with Asher Chua.